So, Big Mom and Wano, let's talk about him. So, as you know, I've been kind of on the Big Mom is actually portrayed well trained for a very long time. I've always talked about how amazing some of her fights were. Whole Cake was my favorite arc for a long time. So, I kind of bigged her up a lot more. I know she was like big meme for a while. But I was rewatching Wano recently, as many of you know, and I think I'm finally turning my opinion around because Wano just my god, the amnesia stuff was crazy, but I'm not really going to talk much about that today. I'll talk about it a bit later, but I don't think there's much to my point here. We're just going to talk about Big Mom as a whole, how she was betrayed in Wano, and if this is it for her, because honestly, if it is, I'll be a bit disappointed. She had a really good fight, and her bag is almost better than Kaido's. Right, let's be real. She just have some absolute busted hacks, and even the whole theory going around that she might be able to survive by taking the rest of Kaido's life force, that is fascinating. That's how big her bag is right now. And the idea that her betrayal, at least in the anime, and I can't remember much about the manga, but in the anime, we have her fighting against Brachio Tank, which is Frankie's tank controlled by Usopp and Chopper. And they are making ground on her. They are getting away from her. They are stunning her in place. How does that happen? For a Yonko, she goes from, right, at the same power level and relatively similar energy. She goes from getting run over by Frankie's motorbike and being able to be stalled by Usopp and Chopper to nearly killing Kid and Law, to basically breaking every bone in Zoro's body, to, and then before all that, she's fighting 3 days long with Kaido, right? Like, what the hell is going on here? Her betrayal is all over the place. And sometimes I'm like, alright, separate the gag from the character. But even in the serious moments, like Onigashima, she's still treated like a joke. And I'm just getting a bit, honestly, with it all over now and after a rewatch, which I'm not finished now. I've only got to the point where Yamato is introduced, so I'm not finished the rewatch yet. But it's still crazy to me. Absolute insanity. Because Big Mom is, if she's still around, she's going to be one of the longest staying villains in the series so far. Right? She's been around. She was mentioned in chapter 325. And she's been a main antagonist since the start of the time skip with all the Fishman Island stuff. So she's been very important and tried to be portrayed as very, menacing. And it made sense in Whole Cake Island because she was in her element, right? And when she got hungry, she'd have food pangs. But although she acted childish with the food pangs, she was still destructive. You still couldn't get to her. Her actual strength was never neglected by her feats. Right, you'd never have her getting stalled by like Usopp and Chopper, right? The only time she actually Monster Point Chopper, but it made sense because it was pure force, and also she was food deprived and kind of mental. Also, Jinbei was like helming the ship to avoid her entirely. It was decently well choreographed in Whole Cake Island too. Anything that happened to her made perfect sense for the most part. But in Wano, you have her having amnesia, befriending Tama, and then being held off by Brachio Tank. You know what I mean? It's a bit wild. And then she goes on again, as I said, to participate in Roof Peace and kick ass against Kid and Law until she doesn't. But, it's insanity to me, to be honest with you, because as someone who really enjoyed Whole Cake and kind of her betrayal as that psychotic man-child in a sense, right? And it was really entertaining to watch because she was just absolute chaos. And that's what I loved about Big Mom, because Kaido, Blackbeard, and Shanks, and even Whitebeard all have their actual their personalities and their morals to stick by, right? So you would have limits to their powers in that sense, or places where it would get stronger or weaker, right? But Big Mom was just pure chaos. She never stopped destroying shit. All you needed to do is not, like, she wanted food and that was it. She was a child in a woman's body and it was pure chaos. And that was great fun. Enjoyable to watch. See her destroy cities. See her, like, decimate crews. It was great. It was great fun. And to see the struggles that it caused her family in Katakuri, it made one of the greatest characters in the series. And yet we have this thing now where she's just... If this is it for her, right? Which she said it wasn't, because hopefully we get some retribution for her. Because Kaido, most people's problem with Kaido is that they loved Kaido's setup. They loved all the stuff that they hint in with Kaido, but the backstory was bad. But we know we're going to get more backstory for Kaido when Rocks comes about. All this is going to be illuminated. So Kaido, we're almost guaranteed to basically love him by the end of it. Because most people already loved his character as it was. And people did sympathize with Big Mom after the backstory, including myself. I thought it was a very interesting backstory. We got some more look into Elbath and a hint at the Sun God yet again. But still, the idea that her final arc as a main antagonist had her having amnesia and being fought off by Chopper and Usopp just is ridiculous to me, right? And the fact I didn't see it sooner is crazy as well. Because she is a main antagonist. She is one of the Yonkos. And in my opinion, right, you can't have a problem with Boogie being a Yonko and not have a problem with Big Mom being a Yonko. Because Big Mom, right, I did like the idea for Big Mom and how she was executed in Whole Cake Island. I enjoyed that because it made sense with the pre-established notion of her food addiction. So it made sense. And because we didn't know about Advanced Kongurasaki, the mystery of the invulnerability also made sense. But honestly, I don't know what she could do from here, because if she's another main antagonist later on, what can you add to her that hasn't already been added? You made a fantastic character in Whole Cake, and then kind of shafted her in Wano, but gave her one of the really amazing fights that Shoji had one of the most hacks abilities in the entire series. She can literally extend her lifespan by eating other people's lifespans. That is so busted, right? So in a way, it would be good to get that 1v1 fight between Luffy and Big Mom, or like a 3v1 with Luffy, Big Mom, Luffy, Law, and Kid against Big Mom. But having her return now would just feel pointless, because you've built her up and then shot her down, basically. Shot her in the foot, so no one's going to give a shit about her. People are going to be fatigued with Big Mom. And she would feel like a side quest when it comes to a major arc. You know, we're in the final saga now. Now people want to see things like Blackbeard, Shanks, and Enel, and just Elbath in general. No one cares about Big Mom anymore. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, Big Mom wasted all of her potential in Wano. And kind of split people down the middle. Some people just really love her performance after Rooftop and are forgetting everything that happened beforehand, like I was before. Or people are just fed up with her entirely. So it would be cool to get a fight between her and Luffy probably, or even her and Kid and Law again, like a round 2 where they're actually strong enough to beat her 1v1 without a ring out. But I don't know. I think unless she literally comes back for the final war, it would just feel like a side quest, because in Elbath, you want to hopefully focus on Shanks at some point, and maybe Enel, if Enel comes back, right? I think people have just given up on the idea of Big Mom having any importance to Elbath. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because it would make sense if she did. It's been built up in her backstory. But she's just... I don't know. I think people are just wearing out their patience with it, right? Because we have Big Mom and Shanks in the same arc. If she takes up screen time from Shanks, people are going to be frustrated, because Shanks is one of the fan favorite characters in the entire series. We've been waiting to learn more about him, see more about him, and understand him as a person. And now he has a kid as well people are going to want to learn about. If Big Mom shows up in Elbath, people are going to be furious, because it will take away time from a character we've wanted to know more about for 25 years. So I think the way Big Mom was handled was a travesty, in my opinion. I still think the rooftop fights and the Kid of Law fights were fantastic, and she was really well done in those fights in particular. Even the scenes where they show them as pure monsters is great, and it actually builds up Kaido as well even further. But I just think at this point in time, there is now nothing you can do with Big Mom that won't feel like you're taken away from the reveals of the final saga. So I think with Big Mom should just be done now. But in which case you're contradicting her final statement where she was like, you think this can kill me? So I don't know what's going on. I really don't know how they're going to handle Big Mom, because either way, in my opinion, it would devalue the story, because it would either contradict what was set up, or it would take away from discussing an even better character in Shanks. But let me know what you guys think about Big Mom in the comments below. And with that being said, if you like content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye!